The desert sun was low, painting the frontier in gold and fire. Dust hung in the air as a weary cowboy named Caleb rode through the wastelands, his horse limping and his stomach empty. He'd been 3 days without a proper meal, surviving on the last piece of cornbread in his saddlebag, a dry, crumbling remnant of his journey west. His destination? Nowhere certain. Just a man searching for peace in a world that had forgotten mercy. The land was silent except for the whisper of wind through the sagebrush, until he spotted something that stopped. His tired heart cold, a small figure crouched beside a dying fire. It was a boy, barely 10 years old, with torn leather clothing and eyes dark as the earth itself. The boy was native, a child of the people the settlers called savages, though Caleb had seen enough of men to know savagery didn't belong to one race. The boy's lips were cracked, his hands trembling as he tried to warm them over the ashes. Caleb dismounted slowly, his boots crunching on gravel. The boy looked up, fear flashing in his eyes. Caleb raised his hand gently. "Easy, son. I ain't gonna hurt you." For a moment, neither moved. Then the cowboy reached into his saddlebag and pulled out that last piece of bread. His fingers hesitated. It was all he had left. His horse needed rest, his body needed food. But something in that boy's face, something hollow and lost, reminded him of his own reflection when he was younger, when he too had been abandoned by war, hunger and men's pride. Without a word, Caleb tore the bread in half, then offered the bigger piece to the boy. The child stared at it as if it were gold. Slowly he reached out and took it, whispering something in his own tongue, words Caleb couldn't understand. But the gratitude in his eyes said more than language ever could. The boy ate, tears mixing with the crumbs. Caleb watched in silence, feeling a warmth inside that the desert sun couldn't give. When the boy was done, he looked up and pointed east, toward the red cliffs. "My people," he murmured softly, then ran off into the wild, disappearing behind the rocks before Caleb could say another word. The cowboy sighed, brushed the dust from his coat, and mounted his horse again. He rode off slowly, not knowing that his simple act of kindness had just been seen by more eyes than his own. Somewhere beyond the horizon the boy's tribe watched, and the wind carried a message. The white man gave his last bread. Soft pause. "And folks?" Sometimes a single act of kindness echoes louder than a gunshot across the plains. When dawn broke the next day, the desert looked peaceful, quiet, as if holding its breath. Caleb had made camp beside a dry creek bed, sleeping under his hat and a blanket of stars. He awoke to a strange stillness. No birds, no wind. Just silence, heavy and waiting. His horse shifted nervously. Then he heard it, the soft thundering of hooves, distant at first, then growing louder, echoing through the canyon like rolling thunder. Caleb stood up, his heart pounding. From behind the red ridge they came, not 10, not 100, but 500 native warriors, mounted and silent, their faces painted, their feathers glinting in the morning sun. They moved as one, proud, solemn, and powerful. Dust rose in golden clouds around them, and the earth seemed to tremble beneath their hooves. Caleb froze, every instinct screaming to run, but something held him still. The warriors rode in a perfect line and stopped 50 yards from him. Then the line parted down the middle. From the center came the boy, the same orphan he had fed the night before, now clean, wrapped in a ceremonial blanket, sitting on a painted pony. Beside him rode an elder, a man whose eyes carried the weight of generations. The elder dismounted slowly, his steps steady as stone. Caleb removed his hat, bowing his head slightly out of respect. The elder spoke in a deep, calm voice, and though the words were in his native tongue, the meaning was clear. The boy translated softly, "You gave bread when you had none. You saw a hungry child, not an enemy. You fed one of our blood." The elder lifted his hand, and the entire line of warriors raised their spears in silent salute. Not one sound, not one breath broke the stillness. 500 warriors honoring one cowboy's heart. The elder stepped closer, holding out a small pouch made of deer hide. Inside, Caleb saw something glimmer. Beads. feathers, and a medallion engraved with the tribe's sacred symbol. "You are friend to our people," the boy said quietly. "When you walk this land, the wind will remember your name." Caleb's throat tightened. He couldn't find words. He nodded once, hat pressed to his chest. Then, as swiftly as they'd come, the warriors turned their horses and rode away in perfect silence, the thunder of hooves fading into the horizon until only dust remained. The boy looked back one last time and smiled before vanishing into the desert. Caleb stood there for a long while, the morning sun climbing high above the cliffs. He had nothing, no bread, no home, but in that moment, he realized he'd been given something greater than gold: respect, legacy, and peace. As he saddled up and rode toward the horizon, he whispered, "Guess kindness still means something after all." Soft music fade. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more powerful Western tales like this. Because in a world full of guns and greed, it's the good hearts that make legends live forever.